Can anyone online hear us? If you could just do a thumbs up or send a message.
You got thumbs up.
Okay. I've got it pulled up, so you all.
Okay.
Yeah, we have quorum.
All right, sounds good. We'll go ahead and call to order the August 19th, 2026, North Front Range NPO Technical Advisory Committee meeting. We'll start with agenda item number 1, which is the welcome and introductions. I'm Evan Pinkham of Polk County. We'll just start going around the room over here.
And I'm Tanya Trujillo-Martinez. I'm the Mobility Director of the NPO.
Jonathan Stockberger, Transportation Planner with the North Front Range NPO.
Secretary Transportation Modeler with NPO. Michaela Gralla, Transportation Planner with the NPO.
Jerome Rouser, Transportation Planner with the NPO.
Mandy Abbott, CDOT Region 4. Anna Rose Cunningham, Senior Transportation Planner with Loveland.
Dana Horncold with Transportation Planning and Engineering with Fort Collins.
I'm Nasa Birmingham. I'm with CDOT Headquarters with the Active Transportation Grants section.
Joshua Moss, City of Fort Collins Transport.
Becky Carrasco, Transportation Planning Director with the NPO.
Then online, anyone that hasn't introduced themselves before, please let's go ahead and just go with that group today.
Tom Moore, Planning Director at the RAC.
Thanks, Tom.
Paul Kramer, City of Loveland Open Lands and Trails Associate Land Agent.
Hello all, Antigone Peoples, CDOT Planning Liaison.
All right, then any others who would like to introduce themselves online? All right.
Hi,
Go
this is
ahead.
Drew. Hey, Drew Pearson, Wilson and Company, TAC liaison for the NOCO bike ped.
Hey, Drew, good to see you. Got any others online that'd like to introduce themselves?
Yeah, I'm Lisa Joyner, Mobility Specialist with the NPO.
All right, and no others, I think we'll go ahead and move on to item number 2 there, which is the public comment. So we'll go ahead and give 2 minutes each for any public comments. Are there any folks in the room or online that would like to give public comment today? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the lead planning agency for air quality agenda. It sounds like Tom will be having an update this afternoon for agenda item number 3, so we'll go ahead and skip that and move on to the Air Pollution Control Division update with Brendan.
Hey everyone, I have a pretty quick update from the Air Pollution Control Division regarding hearings, upcoming hearings. There are no upcoming hearings for the August 20th AQCC meeting, but there are some updates I wanted to highlight that'll be happening at that meeting. There will be a few briefings, 3 briefings, one on air quality enterprise updates, one on the ozone exchange conference, and one on the EJ report tool and findings from that. And then the main briefing I want to highlight was the legislative session update. So give an overview of the 2026 legislative session and items that were related to our division and pieces that members of the division helped with in varying capacities. And then another thing I wanted to highlight was there's a work session on procedural rules feedback happening tomorrow. Here, the commission will hear feedback on updated procedural rules that went into effect in August of last year. And information collected in this session may be used for future rulemaking, addressing procedural rules. So if there's any interest in that, please feel free to attend and offer any feedback. And that's all the updates I have for today.
All right, great. Thanks, Brendan. Any questions for Brendan? We've got Tom with the hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Brendan, I just want to add to your list of briefings. The RAC's going to provide a quarterly briefing on the control strategy blueprint like we've been doing. Thanks.
All right, very good. Any other comments? All right, we'll move on to the Metropolitan Planning Organization agenda. Here we have the consent agenda, which has 2 items under one agenda item number. We have the approval of the July 15th, 2026 meeting minutes, as well as federal performance measures for PM for FHWA, PM3 system performance updates. So I guess we can go ahead and move on and is there,
We need a motion.
yes, we do need a motion on this one. And so do I have a first as far as a motion on this?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, very good. With that, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. All right, with that, we'll approve the consent agenda. All right, we'll move on to presentations. Agenda item number 6 is the CDOT Transportation Alternatives Program, the TAP call for projects presentation. And we have Nisa.
Thank you so much. So first, thanks for inviting me to come and share what I think is exciting information. We have 2 asks coming out of this specific item. One is to please think about projects that are in your communities that are priorities that might be a good fit for this grant program, these 2 grant programs, but also we are looking for somebody to be nominated to sit on the Transportation Alternatives Program Scoring Review Committee for Region 4, for CDOT Region 4 specifically. So those are the 2 asks to think about as we dive into this agenda item. In the packet, there is both this PowerPoint as well as an info sheet. The info sheet is specifically about the Transportation Alternatives Program Scoring Committee members. So if anybody is curious about that role and interested, the info sheet should hopefully answer most of your questions. Of course, if it doesn't, I'm either here live and answer them, or I will make sure at the end of this presentation you know how to find me. So like Evan said, my name is Nisa Birmingham, and I am with CDOT, and I'm happy to present more about what's coming up. So we actually have 3 programs coming up with availability of funding for grants. The first is brand new, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that first. The application is going to be released. We actually just changed it because it's done early, so we're going to release it tomorrow. So, but you will still have until the end of September to submit it. So the Safe Routes Activating Communities program is the first one I'm going to talk about, and then I'll dive into Safe Routes to School and Transportation Alternatives program. So to ground us in all 3 programs, these are similar to any federal grant administered as a pass-through grant from a state entity. Applicants can be local and tribal governments, schools and school districts, local or regional government entities, such as business improvement districts, public land agencies. All of these are reimbursement-based grants. I know most of us sitting in this room know that that's how most government grants work. I just always like to highlight that because for others that are used to private philanthropy, this is always a shock to their system. And all 3 grants have to follow federal requirements because these are all 3 funded by federal source. There we go. Okay. So first, the Safe Routes Activating Communities program. So this is a unique new program. It is a technical assistance and support peer learning program. So what that means is we have partnered with Safe Routes Partnership to build a learning strategy so that all of the participating agencies interested in and that are granted these funds and this opportunity will develop what we call a Safe Routes Action Plan. We are primarily targeting smaller and lower resource communities. So communities that maybe have a planner on staff, maybe they don't have a planner on staff, but they certainly still have really incredible work that needs to be done, and they just need some additional support on how do they build out the next 5 years of Safe Routes in their community. So they will all walk away with a full plan. They will also walk away with grant funding for an early action item. So data collection, community engagement activities, some sort of demonstration event so that they get their communities excited about what the next 5 years in their community could look like. I just want to highlight, this is a very hands-on program. This is not a grant that you go do the work and then you come back to us in a year and tell us how it went. This is every month there will be phone calls and learning sessions with Safe Routes, and you will get one-on-one technical assistance with an expert in building up action planning. So again, we are opening applications tomorrow. It looks like I actually updated this slide. Applications will close September 30th. We will be announcing award decisions by October 30th, maybe a few days before. The program will kick off in November and then be completed next November. It's a little bit slow. Here we go. So it's important to note that that program is new and unique. But so as I dive into the next sort of allotment of programs, just keep that in mind that that is really a specific program that we are truly targeting those communities that don't have planning staff or maybe have sort of green planning staff. The next two programs, Safe Routes to School and Transportation Alternatives Program, they are dependent on the next surface transportation bill. All of us in this room likely know exactly what that means. There's a draft available out there. It does currently include transportation alternatives programs with a slight bump in the budget, which is exciting. But who knows what's going to happen over the next month and 10 days before the current surface transportation bill it expires. So we are still conducting a call for projects. The plan is that for each one of these, Safe Routes to School and transportation alternatives, we are using just so I'm clear, we are using just the CDOT allotment of transportation alternatives. And the reason why I'm saying that specifically for this group is because you all know that our Front Range has their own amount of transportation alternatives funds. This is just for the CDOT portion. CDOT gets almost 60% of the state allotment. NPOs get about 35% of the state allotment, and 7.5% goes to Colorado Parks and Wildlife. I am just talking about that 58%. So what is new for transportation alternatives and Safe Routes to School? So we are doing one application for both programs. So that means any community that's interested in either Safe Routes to School or transportation alternatives, they will use the exact same application and they will have the exact same deadlines. The application submission is online. It's no longer sent via email, and it's no longer sent via the old Salesforce model that Safe Routes to School used to use. It's just one online portal. We are asking for fewer attachments and fewer data elements in the past. I hope that is a crowd pleaser, because I was really excited as I'm writing this application that there are just less categories. But the one additional thing that showed up last time we did the transportation alternatives call as well as the Safe Routes call is this letter of interest step. Some people call it a pre-application review. Some people call it pre-engineering review. Everybody has a different word for what this is. It's essentially, we just want a really quick snippet of what you think would be a cool project for your community that is a priority before you submit your application, so that our engineers can review them and make sure that they are going to be spent within the time allotment of those two funding sources. And we are going to beat the FHWA end dates. We're not going to get delayed on FHWA end dates. Also, they want to see that the budget is right sized for the project and the schedule. That step is not optional, it is required. So the letter of interest, like I said, it's going to be kind of a quick, maybe 1 or 2 pages. That will be released in the middle of October. And that, again, is required. You will not get a link to an application unless we have received a letter of interest from you and reviewed it. But let's talk about projects specifically. So why are we combining the TAP and Safe Routes call? Well, it's primarily because there are co-eligible categories, specifically Safe Routes to School. So Safe Routes to School can fund construction and non-construction projects, specifically like pedestrian infrastructure, traffic calming elements, programming at the local level. All of it, of course, has to be within 2 miles of a K through 12 school, elementary, middle, high school, or all of the above. It's eligible for private schools, charter schools, public schools, any kind of schools. And in addition, TAC also funds Safe Routes to School programs, the exact same categories. But in addition to that, they also fund other bike and pedestrian facilities. They also fund environmental mitigation, historic and scenic activities, and then this really unique and fairly narrow eligibility category called boulevard conversions. If anybody's really interested in converting their former interstate system into low-speed boulevards, TAC can pay for that. So again, call will be released in October. Our hope is that we will have some level of clarity on October 1st, but the likelihood is we may not. We are still conducting the call. The funds will be conditional. So what that means is if all of a sudden the feds decide they're not funding TAP, I think we would all be very sad, but we don't have enough backup funds at the state. So we would make the awards conditional. I think we're feeling fairly confident that we're not worried about this funding source, which is why we're moving forward with this call. There are some unique things that are coming to TAP. There is the new concept of neighborhood centers. So neighborhood centers are a voluntary designation by the Department of Local Affairs. And essentially what that means is there are these centralized hubs where it's mixed use. Right? It's housing and it's economic opportunity and it's maybe potentially connections to transit. They're typically highly walkable communities. Those are what they're considering neighborhood centers. TAC is required to enhance scoring for neighborhood centers. That has been a statewide requirement. So that means if communities are interested in getting these enhanced scoring, then they should probably consider reaching out to DOLA, asking about how do they designate the area that they're thinking about as a neighborhood center. As you're going through this, I'm certainly happy to answer questions, but you also have Amanda who's here representing Region 4. She can make sure you're connected to the right people at CDOT and NOLA as well. So this neighborhood centers is brand new. We want to make sure you know you have resources available for you. And another new and exciting thing, both for TAP and Safe Routes to School, is the State of Colorado Executive Order on Strategic Growth Laws. Again, this is not optional for either program. We are required to enhance scoring for communities that are compliant with the strategic growth laws. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be compliant with every single category, but you will get full points if you're compliant with every category. You will get reduced points if you're only compliant with half the categories, or if you are completely non-compliant with all of the strategic growth laws, you can lose all those points. There is a dashboard, and in the PowerPoint that we sent to you guys, there is a link to the dashboard, which you can look up your town, county, municipality to see where you fall within the strategic growth laws if anybody is curious. Again, these are new. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, or you can find Amanda and she will find the right people too. So here is the next part. So first and foremost, consider applying. But secondly, would love a representative from the MPO. So as we are diving into selecting the scoring review panels, which is, we're sort of introducing it now, we would love it if someone was interested in helping us make the best decisions about the transportation alternatives program applications. Sometimes we run into this situation where somebody's on the scoring review committee, let's just say, let's say they're with the city of Fort Collins, and Fort Collins decides to be an applicant, and wow, that feels like a conflict. We have systems in place to make sure that that doesn't exist within the scoring rubric. We will ask for conflict adherence. So if there does exist a conflict, we just remove that specific person from that application review. I just want to reassure everyone that even though there's a local voice, it doesn't mean it gives that local voice an enhanced application opportunity. So what does it mean to be on the scoring committee? So we really are looking for somebody who's interested in reviewing, evaluating, and scoring each application that shows up for Region 4. We really value the knowledge that each person brings. So we hope that you bring that to the scoring review and how you assess the applications. We will have review committee meetings and a pre-training just so everyone's on the same page about why we're doing this and how to actually score applications. And most importantly, we really want someone to feel confident they can formally recommend applicants to their colleagues on the review committee. So what does that mean? Like I said, we do ask that everybody adheres to conflicts avoidance practices. Really exciting form that everyone gets filled out, and if it shows like there's a potential conflict, we have a live conversation about it. You also have to maintain confidentiality for probably quite some time, because once the scoring review panel makes decisions, it then has to be formally reviewed by the executive director at CDOT, and then it's, you know, it's lots of steps. And so there's a couple of months that scoring review committee member has to just hold that information in and can't let it out yet. But also, we really expect each scoring review committee member to bring comments based on factual knowledge. So in the past, there's been, you know, experiences where sometimes there's some conflict in personal interest versus professional interests. We only want the professional version coming up, and we're sorry if your neighbor is applying and you don't like them today, they still need to be eligible. That happens. So how to get prepared. So we have a couple of ways that we want to be more proactive with supporting applicants. So we have 2 full-day trainings. I don't know if anybody in this room has attended them yet. We have a pedestrian facility design training and a bike facility design training. The next one is up in Fort Collins. It's next month. And then the one right after that is down in Denver. They are 2 full days. I think it's 8 to 5, both. I think it's a Thursday and a Friday usually. And I think it's a really interactive training session. Those are great ways to think about, like, what is the right intervention for this specific context, or how do I think about things differently? So that's something to consider if you're interested. We also have a new virtual training that is available online that just walks through basically like the 101 of what it means to accept a CDOT grant. We know that it can feel complicated at times, and so our hope is that we can get in front of the complications with some of these resources available. Okay, so if you are considering applying, please think about attending the trainings and watching the training video. I really encourage, if you're interested, to know your strategic growth compliance status and neighborhood center status, because surprises are never fun when you're applying for a grant. Make sure your project is truly ready. I know that many of you in this room have done CDOT projects before, and we are really pushing a little bit harder that we're not looking for applications for projects that want to start in 3 years. We are looking for projects that are on the next 5-year plan, and it needs to be done within the 4-year term that TAC is allotted for us. There's going to be a lot of pressure put on deadlines for financial transactions moving forward, we think. And so we don't want projects that are 8 years long. We want projects that are actually going to meet that 4-year TAC timeline. And know your numbers, you know, so some of these projects can get real complicated real fast on this, under the surface, and you just don't know what's under there until you start digging. If you don't know, that's okay. If you do know, really budget appropriately and accordingly. So if you know there's utilities under the sidewalk that are gonna have to be changed, or you know that there's a hydraulics issue because there's ice buildup at the ADA ramp, whatever it is, that's important for you to know when you think about your budget. And then next, we have a new e-newsletter for active transportation funding at CDOT. We will be releasing this quarterly, and then we will also have special editions when we release our notice of funding opportunities. If you're interested in any of these opportunities, we'd love it if you would join our mailing list. There's a QR code up here. You can also email me at active.insights if you want a link to the how to join the e-newsletter, or if you have any specific questions about any of these programs. So I know that that was a lot of information. So what questions have come up as we're talking?
So I do have something, every previous TAP call that we've done where we've had a representative from the North Front Range, it's always been our planning council chair. So if they represent the entire region, and so this, if it's this year, it's Commissioner Stevens. If it's going to be next year, it will be Mayor Liz Hyde from. So just, I'm gonna write that down. Yeah, I can also send it to you. Just awesome. Thank you. The actual meeting will be in probably March. It will probably be Liz Hyde. Courtney, great question. Transparently, you can submit as many applications as you want. We're going to read them all. It is up to you. So just note that safe routes to school eligible projects are also TAP eligible projects, but it doesn't go both ways, as you're probably suggesting in your chat here. So yes, you're welcome to submit 2 or 5, you choose. With the neighborhood centers, this is probably a silly question, but I assume that, like, if our neighborhood center designation we're looking at for downtown, but the project we're looking at for TAP is not in downtown, then you don't get that. Yeah, kind of bump. We're gonna have to create some kind of radius measure. You're totally right. We haven't created it yet. I'm gonna be transparent, but we will be. What I would suggest is if it is a direct link to your neighborhood center, use that in your talking points. If the project is far away, like let's just say it's a mile away, but it's a bike lane connecting to the neighborhood center, I would put that in my narrative.
Elizabeth, go ahead.
Thanks, Evan. My question is similar along those lines with the neighborhood centers. Since the Department of Local Affairs cannot directly override or replace TAP funding eligibility rules because they don't administer TAP funds, what is your scoring going to look like when you're requiring this kind of rule to ensure that they're meeting the federal program categories for pedestrian facilities, bicycle trails, safe routes to school, rather than, like, let's just say those neighborhood centers also require funding for housing or general commercial zoning. How are you guys evaluating that the federal program criteria is going to be met, I guess, with that scoring?
Yeah, that's a great question. So how I would answer that is specifically in the TAC legislation, it does currently say federal and state-based priorities. So this is where we are integrating state priorities. So our state has selected strategic growth laws and neighborhood centers as priorities. As a result, we are asked to add them into scoring for TAP.
So, but how do you ensure, that's fine, but how are you ensuring that there's nothing in the rules that say it can go towards housing in TAP? So how are you as CDOT or the evaluation committee going to evaluate that this funding is going towards the federally required criteria?
So, yeah, I'm going to try to answer your question because I'm wondering if maybe I didn't answer it as clearly. So the federal priorities and the state priorities are in the TAP language currently. Again, we don't know what Bill 250 or another version of a surface transportation bill that maybe moves forward more quickly is going to say. So the priorities for federal funding are you must follow these specific categories to fund, and they must be eligible. You know, you can't have an inactive FHWA project, you can't be debarred, you can't be ineligible essentially for funding. But the other language does say you must incorporate state priorities. And we have, as a state, have made the public statement through the laws and the different bills that these are our priorities. So that's how we're meeting what the requirements are in the federal bill.
So you can use this funding for housing?
We are not using the funding for housing.
Okay, that was the answer I guess I was looking for, because housing and the neighborhood centers are a specific criteria. That's why I didn't know how you guys were looking at, reviewing the federal criteria with the neighborhood centers, because housing is a huge component of that.
Yeah, it's about how the neighborhood center is designed, right? Like is it a magnetic, centralized, content sensitive environment so that encourages people to have the privilege of walking to and from the destinations from their home? That's the design of a neighborhood center.
Thanks.
Elizabeth, please feel free to email me if I did not answer your question properly. I want to make sure you get your question answered.
No, I appreciate that. I just think the eligibility criteria under TAP hasn't ever really changed. So the fact that the state's adding this component is fine. I just don't think it's necessarily clear on what priority is, if you're saying they're all the same and the intent is really we're just trying to help make sure we have bike connections and trail connections within these neighborhood centers, is the priority over any link to a regional trail system. I think I'm just trying to say, how are you guys defining this to help our communities have the strongest applications?
Yeah, so I should clarify, that is not the only scoring criteria. It is just maybe going to be a very small portion. So there are going to be other scoring criteria that will be integrated into the decision process, including things like safety, connectivity. Are we meeting communities that maybe haven't been met recently and their needs have maybe been disproportionately pushed back? So there will be other criteria for which we make decisions. This is just one additional element that we haven't seen in the past.
Thanks.
I have a question about the first opportunity you mentioned, the Safe Routes Activating Communities program.
Yeah.
Is that what is tied to the Safe Routes to Everyday Destinations learning cohort?
Great question. So this Safe Routes to Everyday Destinations learning cohort is funded by CDPHE, and it is going to be a more hands-on model than the learning cohort. So the learning cohort is really for those communities that know how to get it done, and they just want like a little bit of guidance on, just give me a template, teach me essentially like what I need to put in it. That's the learning cohort. They will end up with an opportunity to apply for demonstration project funds at the end of the learning cohort.
Okay. So this is separate.
This is another path. This is for those communities that maybe already attended Safe Routes to Everyday Destinations cohort, and they're like, gosh, I still don't know exactly how to build an action plan. I want someone to sit with me and like teach me how do I actually build out an action plan. I don't want them to just give me the template. I want them to literally walk through it with me. That's what this other path is.
And with the Everyday Destinations learning cohort, they say that you have to attend all 4 of those cohorts to apply for the funding. Is that not a requirement for this piece that you're talking about, or is it?
Yeah, you are signing up for the whole program. So you are signing up for, let me go back. You are signing up for this. If you choose to apply for this program, you are signing up for up to 10 hours of individual technical assistance.
But it's not a prerequisite to have attended those 4.
Thank you.
It's not.
Good question. Now I get it. Right, it is not. This program is really truly targeting communities that are like, just teach me and like do it with me. The Everyday Destinations program is probably for people that have planning staff. They probably have a little more experience. They kind of know what they're doing. Yeah.
Any additional questions? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 7. We've got the REC programs NATME grant award presentation with Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I'll share my screen. Cool. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Jacob LeBure. I'm our program director here at the RAC. Going to give you a little update on our NAMI grant, but also not just our NAMI grant, just a little bit about our grants and program, or sorry, our grants and programs generally at the RAC, but also programs that are also going to be operating in the sort of northern non-attainment area. So these are our programs on our front page here. Engines Off, Clean Air Auto Repair, our Clean Air Champion program, our ABC program, Simple Steps Better Air, and our Mow Down Pollution program. Let's see if I can get my slide to work. So yeah, you all know who the Regional Air Quality Council is, but of course there's the map there of where we operate. You know, some of our funding, of course, sometimes can be limited to certain geographical areas, which is why the NAMI grant, of course, is very exciting because most of the time a lot of our program funding is restricted to the sort of DRCOG area region. So NAMI funding is allowing us to, you know, expand our reach more into Larimer and Weld County. So it's very exciting for us, and we've been looking forward to, you know, having that expansion. And so looking forward to doing more with our NAMI grant. Again, these are the programs here that we'll be expanding and doing more with up north. The Mow Down Pollution program is not a part of the NAMI grant, but we do continue to operate in all the counties in the non-attainment area with this program. So it's one I just wanted to take a moment to highlight. You know, this year, for example, we've done mower exchange events in Fort Collins. Adams County is where we've also done an event, but also in Longmont just last weekend. We did a mower exchange event there. And we're also excited to share with you all that we're going to be getting some new funding, some additional funding. This program is predominantly right now funded by retailers and manufacturers of electric lawn and garden equipment. But we are going to get some additional funding. So we hope to launch up in Weld and Larimer County specifically for our landscaper program to be able to fund landscapers who want to make the switch to electric lawn and garden equipment. But also we plan on having more mower exchange events over the next year that will be a lot larger in size than the ones we've done earlier this year due to the new funding. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that. Of course, those updates will be on our website, mowdownpollution.org. And we're hoping to launch the landscaper portion of this new funding October 1. So that's the date we're planning on launching for the landscaper portion of this, but mower exchange events are still going to be in the planning stage. We're still figuring out whether or not we're going to do any mower exchange events this year, or if we're going to hold those off till next year, because obviously the mowing season is coming towards an end. Never really had much of a beginning either, because so much dead grass out there, but just wanted to highlight that. And just again, a little bit of some highlights for this program. Generally, it's one of the RAC's longest held programs. We've gotten money for this program from all sorts of a mix of different places, from local government, state government. We've had private funding, so grants, donations, fine money. So we've gotten different money at different times for this program, which has made the program sort of shift in how it operates over time. But we've got a lot of success stories with the program. We've had over 7,500 pieces of electric equipment purchased since in the last 10, 14 years or so. And as we have those purchases, we've also had that similar amount of recycled equipment as well, since we usually make it a one-for-one. This year, we've had we put out $120,000 of grants for landscaping businesses, and we've held 3 residential mower exchange events. We're not done for the year. There's still some room for more success. We've had bigger years in the past. It's been a smaller year. However, with this new funding, we're excited that this will help boost the program again this year, and some of that might roll into some of that will roll into next year as well. But another program is, and this is where we did get some NAPME funding specifically for this Engines Off program. And we are excited to say that we launched the program earlier this year. The northern counties weren't included at the very beginning of the year, just because we were waiting on the NAPME funding. However, we are now relaunched as of Monday, so folks can apply today if they're interested in getting a electric equipment to be able to retrofit their food truck, or what we call mobile business. With this grant, we fund anywhere from 70 to 80% of modifications. So to switch from gas to electric, and like your food truck, for example. We do offer grants up to $20,000. We are in Larimer and Weld County, and we are funding projects right now. Our average total project size is about $13,000. And then we get match from the companies themselves. It's a great program. Investing in businesses, helping them, make the switch to zero emissions. If you are interested, or folks who might be interested in applying for the grant, they can do so at enginesoff.org. We do have a Spanish, website and application available as well. And we're excited about this program. And excited. And also with that additional funding that we received for the mow down pollution program, we also are getting additional funding for this Engines Off program as well. And that will be a separate launch from this. And that funding is specifically, again, will be for parts of Larimer and Weld County. So we're excited about that. And then we have our ABC program, or Accessible Bikes for Community. This program is essentially like an e-bike library program. It's our newest program. It's a pilot. We're testing the efficacy of the program, but we have launched a couple of sites. We plan on launching 2 or 3 more sites by the end of this year, and we're excited that we're in talks with some folks in Loveland right now. So hopefully we're going to be getting a site up there. This program, builds libraries basically at affordable housing or income restricted housing facilities. And so if you're interested in this program, I encourage you to go to our website, rac.org/ABC. You can learn more about the program there, or you can always reach out to us. My email is my last name, LeBure, at rac.org. or also our information is all on that website as well. And you'll be speaking with our program assistant, Keenan. He works on this program regularly, so he's the one helping folks work through the application process. And this is specifically has additional funding from NATME for this program. So that's one reason we're working to look for, sites up in the northern non-attainment area. And we have our CAR program. So our CAR program, we work with fixing vehicles, high emitting vehicles within the non-attainment area. This year, we've funded 74 car repairs so far. We're a little bit behind on where we wanted to be, but that's because we had to make some pauses and adjustments and make some changes to the program. The way it's traditionally operated, the state now has their own program as of this year. So we've had to make some shifts on how we were operating, and so that delays some different things, and we had to work with different shops, and we're adding different shops to this program, but we still continue to work closely with CDPHE on this program in particular. We've done $260,000 in repairs so far. We're fixing things like oxygen sensors, catalytic converters, PCV valves, and other types of repairs. We're still working. We had a shop earlier in the year we were working with out of Fort Collins, but we've decided to look for additional shops to work with. So we're looking pretty actively up north. I think we'll have a shop here soon, but currently don't have a shop up north. However, folks from Larimer, Weld County are still eligible to apply, but they have to, as of now, they'd have to drive, more into the Denver metro area, because the shops we have established are in Aurora and Denver and Littleton at the moment. But we will be launching a shop hopefully in Greeley and I believe Fort Collins sometime soon. Don't have an exact date on that yet. But also this program does have again funding from NATME, so that's why we're specifically looking in Larimer and Weld County. And then our Clean Air Champions program. This is just a recognition program where we recognize businesses, local governments, and leaders in the community who are doing great work in air quality. And folks are allowed to nominate people that they believe are businesses or organizations that they believe are doing good work. We have more information on the RAC's website about this program. We're also excited, and might as well make a plug for, we're having a Clean Air Champions event coming up September 15th. It's going to be from 4:30 to 7:30. You all on the call are welcome to attend. We'd love to have you. There's more information on the RAC's website, rac.org, or if you're looking for the direct link, rac.org/Clean Air Champions, Clean Air, or Clean/Air-Champions. And that's going to be at the Denver Performing Arts Center. And Will Tour with the Colorado Energy Office will be speaking there, and we hope you'll join us. And then, in addition to those programs, of course, we have our public awareness campaign. We do a lot of work, with outreach and community education about, air quality issues. Kelsey Simpkin, she couldn't be with us all today, but she is the programs and communication manager at the RAC, and she works day in and day out on this program. So I'm not going to do nearly as well as she would giving information about this program, but I'm going to try my best. So thought I'd share more about our Simple Steps Better Air program. So we're going to be doing a lot of public awareness work up in the northern counties. The NATME funding does allow a lot of funding, a lot more additional funding for our public awareness campaign, and that's our Simple Steps Better Air program. So of course, the Simple Steps is really just about encouraging folks in the community to take simple steps that can, help reduce air pollution, and help the community and help us with our summertime ozone issues. So our summer ad campaign, we do a lot of the work throughout the summer. So we do a lot of educational awareness, TV ad buys. We do ad buys in newspapers. We do sponsorships, and we do outreach campaigns. If you're interested, we'll definitely get you connected with Kelsey on our team, because she is always looking for new opportunities to table events or sponsor events, or do more work in the community to help get information out about our public awareness campaign and our summertime ozone issues. So this is kind of an example of some of the advertisements that you'll see in like newspapers, or you'll see in paper publications like the Westword or the Denver Post, or other articles about showing folks how to take simple steps to help out with summertime ozone. So there'll be little advertisements like about not idling your car, or use electric equipment, or work from home, or take public transit. So some more examples here. You can also see this year our summer media campaign. So we were in 54 different outlets and publications, 6 TV stations, 8 radio stations, 38 print and digital. These are just kind of examples, CityCast Denver, the Colorado Sun, Aurora Sentinel, Denver Gazette, the Westword, Urban Spectrum, all sorts of different publications throughout the non-attainment area. So if you know a good, media outlet or other group that you think would be a good fit for a campaign like this, definitely reach out, because we're looking for more folks in the northern areas as well. Again, these are some of the spots or examples you'll see in some of the advertisements, like a question and answer on the left side of the page or of the screen. Or you can see behind some of the RTD buses, some of the ads, or you see Mike there on a news station or news channel. So these just are some of the examples of stuff you'll see related to this program out in the community. And this is just an example of some of the events that we've sponsored this year. So we were at Bike to Work Day, or the Boulder Environmental Film Festival, or Fort Collins Foco Fondo, Aurora Fest, or the Colorado Environmental Film Festival, American Lung Association. These are all examples of the kind of tabling we do with some of our team there. In the picture there, that's Keenan and Haley on our team. And then you can see some of the swag as well that is given out. And as we encourage folks to sign up for ozone alerts, and which we provide not only ozone alerts, but also steps that people can take whenever they receive those. And for example, this is our summer ozone alert. So we'll send out action alerts, letting people know things that they can do whenever there are high ozone days. And we also send out notices to CDOT and E470 for their highway signs also. And we send out text alerts and emails related to high ozone days. And then this is an example of some of the signage. And then also, people can sign up for text alerts. So if you go to Better Air, text Better Air code to that number there, you can sign up yourself. And then also this year, we're excited to relaunch the website. So new and improved website, simplestepsbetterair.org. You can scan the QR code there if you're interested in checking it out. The website, more information in a simpler, cleaner format for folks to be able to learn more about ozone and the simple steps that they can take. This is just a screenshot of the website, just to kind of give you a little taste of it. The website is fully in Spanish, full Spanish translation. We have, facts on there that people, Q&A, so people can learn more about ozone. There's a blog where we're, posting new information. And then we also are trying to do more to highlight, partners and other groups that we're working with as well. And again, ahead of 2027, we'll be doing a lot more. We've done a lot, I believe, this year. We've expanded to do more in Larimer and Weld County this year, but next year will be a really big year since we had some delays in getting out funding this year. So we'll be having a lot more going on in 2027. We are looking for suggestions. So for new media publications and advertising opportunities, community outreach events, sponsorship opportunities, educational materials, things that could be helpful to you all. So if you have ideas, let us know. We're happy to explore those. And the best person to reach out for that is Kelsey. So she's at or Haley. So that's K Simpkins at rac.org or H Mendoza at rac.org. And that's really all I have. Happy to answer questions if anybody has any.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Sorry about that. We were muted there for a second trying to get back. Thank you for your presentation. Does anybody have any questions for Jacob?
This is Michaela with the North Front Range NPO. Not a question, but just a comment that I've already been chatting with Kelsey and Haley some, and we are planning sometime hopefully next month to chat through some of these things, particularly about outreach and the Steps Better program.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, they're definitely the right people to talk to for that.
Jacob, this is Becky. And you may have mentioned it and I might have missed it, but what is the source of the new funding that you mentioned for the Mowdown program?
Yeah, so we got some additional SEP funding, and we're in the planning phase now with utilizing some of that funding, and it's limited to where we can to do projects, but it is specifically in the parts of Larimer and Weld counties. So.
Thank you.
All right, any additional questions? All right, sounds good. We'll move on to outside partner reports. We'll go on to the NOCO Bike and Ped Collaborative.
All right. So details on the August meeting can be found in the handouts, but wanted to take this time to give a brief update on some changes to the group's leadership team. So previously, the group operated with 5 members of leadership team plus NPO staff. And with that, there were not really assigned roles. It was just kind of a leadership team that split the responsibilities. Recently, we've had discussions about changing that, and we have implemented some changes. So with that, we now have 6 new specific roles within the leadership team. We have our chair, who is currently Katie Guthrie with Stanley Consultants. We have our vice chair, who's Courtney Geary with City of Fort Collins. We have our administrator, which is me, our event coordinator, who is Anna Rose. And then as Drew mentioned, he is the NFRMPO TAC liaison. So moving forward, any sort of presentations, discussing anything that comes from NOCO will go through him or whoever's in that particular role. We then also have the NPO liaison, which is also me. Yeah, that's all I had on that.
Very good. Any questions for Joe? All right, and then we'll move on to regional transit agencies with Joshua.
Yeah, so I met with partners in July. Ridership's been steady for 2026. They're looking to get their staffing levels back up. Say school is back in session and they're looking to increase frequency on Route 1. Really Evans Transit looks like they're making route changes starting tomorrow to Route 1 and 3. They're combining the routes 5 and 6 into just Route 5 now. For the Purdue Express, they've also made changes focusing on the commuter side coming out of Fort Collins. Ridership on the Purdue Express is up 23% year over year from June. Looks like there's steady growth on that route, but there's concern with overservice while the route is growing. And obviously, we've talked about how they're looking for a new agreement with Purdue Express. Their fixed route ridership's been declining a little. We're trying to figure out the causes, whether it's a barrier to entry by only accepting cash, or they also have a decline in youth ridership. It could have been due to the no fare for a better air campaign not being available this year. And they've unveiled Gallup, and they have their bright orange bus, and they're looking to transition through the rest of the fleet. For transport, our overall ridership is down, but we've cut service by about 20% from last year. But our passengers per hour is up. 2 days ago, we launched our optimization plan for our new optimized network. 2 days into it, it's running pretty well so far. The gist of optimization is we've made significant changes to our hours of service, trying to concentrate into peak service during the middle of the day and reducing evening and night service. We made some pretty significant changes to CSU routes. The 2 no longer goes to the transit center. We also, and we've gotten rid of Route 32, and we've increased frequency on our Route 19 from an hour to 30 minutes. In Windsor, they're still looking to install that shelter on Fairgrounds Avenue and 71st Street. They're looking to build another shelter at Blue Arena and Powder Play. That's all the updates I have.
Any questions for Joshua?
It may be related. I believe there was going to be a follow-up meeting about regional transit plan. Is that scheduled?
Was gonna do that. I thought, I was under the impression we were waiting until September and that was gonna come in through, I thought your team was following up on that, but I guess.
Michelle said there would, yeah, she was gonna reach out and do that, yeah.
Follow up for her.
Shows our notification.
Yeah, no, she got back, she's back now. Okay, and my understanding was that the IGA partners, we were gonna meet,
Yes,
and that's what Michelle was saying.
yes, and so then after that, if there was a need to get back together, then we could do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, then moving on, we'll go to mobility updates. And with time.
Just some high level data, year to date. Right now, we're at 329 calls, which is up 51% from last year at this time. And we're at 4,070 website visits, which is up 60% from last year at this time. So the outreach and knowledge of Ride No-Co being available, definitely getting out there, and people are utilizing the service, which is great. County distribution, our highest number of calls are coming from Larimer County, and that's at 54.4%, with the city of Larimer County being the highest, Fort Collins at 24%. Calls from Miles County are at 26.7%, and about 13% of those calls are coming from Greeley. Going back to Larimer County, Loveland, we're receiving 19% of our calls from Loveland. The rest are outside of the 2 big city areas. And 59% of our calls are coming from individuals 60 and older. 44% are coming from individuals who are disabled. 16% of the individuals seeking rides are needing a wheelchair available or access vehicle. and 6% are veterans. So why does it matter? It's important to know where rides are needed and how we can work together, you know, as communities to really create more transportation opportunities for these individuals. Like I was saying about the outreach, we're doing a lot. And this weekend we will be doing the Senior Expo in Johnstown from 9 to 2. If you have any individuals who would like to go, please refer them that way. There will be a lot of resources and information for seniors.
All right, great. Thank you, Tanya. Any questions for Tanya? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to reports. We have the August Planning Council meeting summary draft. That's a written report. Northern Range MPO air quality program updates. That's a written report. Freight survey results report. That's a written report. And mobility committees. That's also a written report. So take a look at those. And we'll move on to the round table. And I guess we can start over here with staff. Anything else?
All right. So the tip delay process has been delayed, kind of ironic, but that's good. We're going to be discussing that at the next TAC meeting. We are rating various materials from communities where we need extra information. So if you are under the names of Fort Collins, Greeley, or Evans, please get those materials to me when you can. Also, if you have a second, third, or fourth delay, please be prepared to discuss those projects at the upcoming TAC and council meetings. We'll have more information on discussing at the council meetings when we discuss it at the TAC meeting upcoming. That's all for me.
So for me, I'm just requesting the communities to use the Urban Sim portal and add the developable project to assist us in the travel demand model update process, because we need to have that land use allocation output for our travel demand. So I offered some office hours till yesterday, and only Windsor contacted with us, and we had around 26 projects from Windsor, and we are requesting the other communities to enter their project as well. And the deadline was mentioned end of this month, August. So it will be helpful if you can add this on the timeline. Other than that, if any other communities are left who has their traffic counts, maybe from 2022, 23, 24, 25, any of the year, even this year, it will be helpful if you can forward it to us. I want to thank all those communities who already sent us the traffic counts and the transit data. Other than that, the MST meeting 3 will be in upcoming months in November, and Becky will have details on that. I just wanted to let you know about the major discussion item that will be on land use and zoning information. Just a heads up for the communities to let the specific land use personnel know about that meeting if you want that person in that MST meeting. So that's all from me. All right. So I've started work on the 2027 congestion management process, or CMP for short. I would expect that as a discussion item either at the next TAC meeting or at the October TAC meeting. Just a heads up on that. Additionally, the Safe Routes to School subcommittee of the NOCO Bike and Ped group has not met since last year, but I am working to revive that group. I'm almost to the point of sending out a first meeting invite. I've been gathering input on best meeting times from the different communities that have participated in the past, but I want to open up that invitation. If your community has not, or organization has not participated in the past and they want to be a part of that, please let me know and I can add you to my email list. Looking ahead for outreach that we will be doing between now and the next TAC meeting, other than the expo that Tanya mentioned,
We will also be at the Tennant Farmers Market this Sunday, August 23rd. We will be at CSU Transportation Day on Thursday, August 27th. And we will be at the Johnstown Fall Festival on Saturday, September 12th. Also, we're starting to look at what our winter outreach will look like. So far, we only have identified the farmers market that happens over the winter in Fort Collins at the Foothills Mall. So if there are any other opportunities that we can be at in your community, please let us know. And then last thing is I'm starting to think through our October newsletter that the NPO sends out. We're already planning to include an article on the new branding for Gallup. But if anyone else has any other either projects they want to highlight, they're looking for public input on a certain plan around the beginning of October, please let me know so I can get that from you. That's all from me.
Alrighty, for me, we still have some communities who have not submitted their projects for the 2055 RTP. So this week I'll be reaching out to those who have not submitted their projects to touch base on where we're at in that process. With that request as well, we also did ask for operation and maintenance costs. I would say right now the priority is getting the projects. I'm not too worried about getting operation and maintenance costs. That's a little bit easier. So I would say definitely prioritize the projects, and then we can work with you on the operation and maintenance costs. So if you have not submitted your projects, keep an eye out for an email from me sometime this week, so we can touch base and answer any questions you may have. And that's all I have.
Nothing right now.
We have a couple big projects that I wanted to provide some updates on. So for the MERGE project, our raised federal grant was executed. We are doing the financial planning around the project, and part of that was looking at different alternatives to make sure we're meeting the budget for the project. Part of that was determining that the 47th Avenue interchange configuration will likely be a diverging diamond interchange, and a mobility hub ramp configuration will likely be a center loading configuration, just due to the different alternative cost estimates. Our next steps are to continue the NEPA development, progress our technical meetings, coordination, including drainage, structure, and roadway. We're reviewing our engagement plan, and we will be submitting our rural grant agreement for pre-award. We also just reviewed CMGC bid applications, so we should be selecting a CMGC. Contractor very soon. For SS4A, we received documentation through FHWA that our categorical exclusion was accepted, so we can proceed towards phase 1 execution of our grant agreement as we continue our design process. We're doing early public information sessions. We've already had most of those, and our first round of public outreach is nearing our completion. For the O Street 59th Avenue improvement projects, the major project elements, including lighting, seating walls, or seat walls, landscaping, pavement markings, have been substantially completed, and our next steps are final acceptance and project closeout with CDOT, which is scheduled to be completed by towards the end of October. And then the 83rd Avenue and 10th Street intersection enhancements, we are soliciting proposals from qualified consultants to advance the project design to the 90% design stage. CDOT is working on providing our option letters. The grant funds can be used for consultant fees, and our tentative schedule is project kickoff in September with construction advertisement in March of 2027. Those are my major updates.
Very good. Go online. Sorry.
I have two. So one, the registration is open for the Intermountain West Ozone Exchange. It's happening on October 26th to the 28th. And I have the link to that website in the chat. So it's no longer on our website. It has its own website, which is ozoneexchange.org. So please, if you're planning to attend, go ahead and register. And then, as Ziva mentioned, the next NSC meeting, we're looking at mid-November, so between council week and the week of Thanksgiving. This is due to the work that Urban Sim needs to accomplish with the projects and the land use data that you all are providing them, and then for them to turn that over to Cambridge so they can incorporate it, and then we would actually have something to talk about. So that's why the meeting's been pushed back. So that's all that I have.
All right, very good. Now we'll go online. Anyone else have any updates from the roundtable online? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Next meeting is going to be September 16th, 2026, and we'll see you all then.